Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LTH product briefing. I'm Nikki Shaver, the CEO of Legal Tech Hub, and I'm delighted today to be joined by Dan Quintus, the head of legal solutions for Airia. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Nikki. Thanks for having me.
It's such a pleasure. I have been really excited about this because I've heard a lot about Airia, and I myself have not yet seen a demo. So I, like I'm sure most of our audience, are really in eager anticipation of this one. Dan, I know that Airia charged onto the legal scene from out of industry and then subsequently has made quite a splash. Can you tell us a bit about Airia and how it has evolved in the legal industry over the past year?
We actually came out of stealth mode right around ILTACon of 2024. So we've been about a year in this market. ILTACon was actually our first event as a company. And even though we are a cross-vertical, cross-industry solution, we were watching the market and trying to figure out like where are the areas, the pockets where we're seeing AI adoption growing the most, or the greatest level of urgency to get AI adoption happening. And believe it or not, to our surprise, the legal industry became one of the front runners, right? And yeah, in hindsight, it's actually not super surprising if you think about it. Law is in many ways the practice of words, of language. And so what better change agent to come onto the scene than large language models? But yeah, we started out in the agent orchestration and agent building space, cross-industry, cross-vertical. And what we identified in the legal space is, first of all, a lot of adoption of new AI technologies, a lot of new use cases. But what we found was that a lot of firms needed a certain level of customization and control and management over the AI estate. It's not so often you can pull a solution off the shelf and deploy it out to 1,000 users and expect that it's going to behave exactly like the firm would expect. And so that's what we found. We started engaging with firms of all sizes, from AmLaw 100 firms all the way down to sub 10 attorney firms that are more localized. And we started finding use cases across the board, right? Everything from, hey, our lateral recruiting teams are going through these massive processes that are several weeks long and require a lot of human development of text and merging of ideas and making recommendations and things like that. And so let's look to consolidate and collapse that down and automate. We've looked at firms that had a desire to build client-facing tools, right? To allow their clients to actually work with these AI agents to get updates on things, to ask about what's the latest status or when can I expect a result, and those types of things, which again, you aren't necessarily going to find off the shelf from what's a quote unquote legal tech AI solution. And so certainly we work with clients on everything from contract redlining to force majeure clause generation and sort of everything in between. But for us, that's not really our focus. Our focus is on helping firms and all organizations at large who want to manage and be able to secure and audit their AI deployments across the board. We're looking for organizations that have AI policies but have no idea how in the world they can enforce them. And so the legal space and a lot of the organizations we've been working with over the last year have been super inspiring and have frankly helped us push our platform forward across other industries and other verticals. And yeah, we're very thankful for the excellent feedback and traction we've gotten in this space.
That's great. Really interesting. So Airia really comes in and supports AI deployment in firms interested in building, which is most firms, I think, at the moment, at least of a certain size. So Dan, really interested to see it. Why don't we jump in and take a look?
What we'll do first is we'll start looking at security and governance, first of all. This tends to be the first area folks are interested in. And one of the things we do is just provide visibility into every single AI transaction that's happening. What did the user ask for? Did we touch any of your data across, let's say, a SharePoint or a document management system? And if so, explicitly, what did we touch? And what did the model come back with? And were there any calls to third-party systems? In addition to that, we also have what we call guardrails, which allow us to perform things like data leakage prevention. Imagine if you wanted to prevent, let's say, someone's driver's license number or email address, or maybe just their name from being sent to an AI model at all, right? What we can do is we can turn on a leakage prevention that blocks it, or we can do what's called redact and replace, which is basically meeting the user in the middle, letting them do their job, but just making sure that the large language model never saw that piece of information that we didn't want to leak. And with that, you can add your own custom detectors as well. We have a lot of our legal clients who, for example, will populate all of their client names and trademarks to make sure that those never escape out into a large language model. And so along with that, we also provide visibility over those violations, right? What exactly happened to whom? What was the context of what they were doing? So in this case, we found with 85% confidence a person's name, which is something we've restricted. We can also go and look at security violations. Was a user trying to break one of these agents and get them to do something they weren't meant to do? Was the user trying to use the tool for something that's outside of our acceptable use policy, right? In this case, trying to upload a photo of something that maybe they weren't supposed to be doing. So all of those sort of, again, your AI policy dictates all of these things, and we're bringing these tools out to be able to let you adhere to those. Along with that, we have a lot of tools for end users. So here's an example of being able to look across several documents. We can do this into the hundreds of thousands. And imagine like a discovery type use case where you want to look over a bunch of different files, or maybe a contract use case where you want to look over several different contracts and ask it a bunch of different questions, right? Does this light up as evidence for XYZ? Is this client confidential? Is this whatever? Give me a summary of each file. Ask a specific question. And then we take the user in and actually present them with our findings and allow them to actually see how we ended up with our result. And so this is the concept of citations right here, where, for example, maybe I'm prepping a witness for a deposition and I want to see how this witness has answered things in the past. And so I can go in and look up and get some assertions back that say this particular witness behaves like X, Y, and Z. And here's the actual file and the actual paragraph in the sentence where we found that information. The other piece, other use cases like being able to match attorneys to particular clients or cases based on geography or availability or language preference or those types of things. Here's an example of being able to put together a timeline for a case based off of the case materials. So those are some of the end user facing tools. When it actually comes to building one of these agents, we've made this super simple in this interface like you're seeing here, where it's just really drag and drop. What data sources do I want to pull in? Is it a DMS? Is it my SharePoint or OneDrive or Teams or an arbitrary website and a model that I want to use? You'll notice I can pick from one of several different models. We also see as part of this building and deployment process the need to test side by side. Like, how does Claude perform against Gemini 1.5 in this scenario? Which one's faster, cheaper, more accurate? And so I can test them actually side by side. We can also allow these agents to start talking amongst each other, right? In this case, I've actually set up a scenario where we're using natural language to determine what is the user asking for. And depending on that result, we can actually send them to other agents to fulfill the task. We can plug into all of your data sources. We can plug into third-party systems to do real-time information checks, let's say client information, or maybe we want to add a new contract to your contract management system. We can do those real-time interactions with your third-party systems. You'll notice, again, about 150 or so models from all of the top providers. We make it super easy to pull these off the shelf. You don't need an existing agreement with these model providers to pull them in. And also, if you have your own, let's say, on-premise or private models, let's say in an Azure OpenAI, we can bring those under our management as well. We can track all of your usage and consumption. We can actually set budgets for individual teams. So for example, if you wanted to make sure a specific team couldn't go over $10,000 a month usage threshold, we can set those controls here as well. Now, as a last piece with the agent building, you got to test them, right? And so what we allow you to do is provide a battery of tests, right? Several hundred questions or prompts that you have going into this particular agent. And then what do you expect the responses to look like? You'll see in this test harness, I've actually built several different test cases, and I'm testing this agent several different times to see how well it behaves. And you'll notice some things is performed very well, 100% accuracy. Other things, not so good, right? And so this allows us, as we evolve and as we build out these agents, we can actually determine, are we on the right path? Should we actually roll this out? Do we have any level of certainty that this agent will behave the way that we actually expect it to? And so that's a crash course, like 5-minute high-level overview. There's a lot of depth, obviously, we didn't get into in terms of end user capabilities, in terms of security controls, and how we can actually integrate with other AI tools to bring the same level of audit and visibility and security guardrails and controls there. So again, a rapid sort of flyby, but I hope this was a good dipping your toes into the Airia platform.
I think that was excellent. It really is a toolkit of compliance and governance, plus your deployment capabilities for app building and testing different models, as well as just broadly security across all of that. I can imagine how useful that would be for firms interested in building. And to be clear, it's not an off-the-shelf product, although there are agents that you can select from, but you actually come in and support firms in setting all of this up.
Yeah, our goal is for the success of our customers for every single one of their use cases. And yeah, so we have technical resources that will work with these firms to really get all the way down to the nuance. We understand, obviously, that not every firm has the muscle memory or reflex or experience in building these types of things. And our platform's made it super, super easy. But anywhere where there's gaps, we have technical resources that parachute in and help them to be successful. But yeah, it's all about understanding the nuance, the detail of making it behave exactly like their firm wants to. At the end of the day, we consider these agents to be almost as important as your human employees, right? Your human resources. And I think in time, that's going to become something a major implication we think about. But so just in the same way you want your employees performing at their top, like that's the same expectation for these AI agents. And that's where Airia comes in.
Fantastic. Well, Dan, thank you so much. For those watching, we will put a URL across the bottom. Dan, is there an easy way for people to reach out to you and the team?
Yes, legal.airia.com. You can land there. You can sign up for a demo. We love doing proof of concepts, and we make that very easy to engage with. So that's the best way to find us. You can also find us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, under
And
Airia.
Legal Tech Hub.
And Legal Tech Hub, of course.
Well, that was great. Thank you so much. I'm sure this is a company that will grow. It looks like a really fantastic solution for a lot of firms out there. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.